Hi, this is David here at Highland Campervans and welcome to the handover video of this Globecar 600 Globestar L. So we're going to take you around and show you the primary control functions for this van to help you get ready for your first few adventures out and about. Now what I do recommend is that you bookmark this video for future reference, maybe download it to your device, so when you're out about the field you've got a handy guide just in case you need a little bit of help. So as I said, sit back, enjoy the video, and I will see you at the other end. As you come into your Globecar, just above the passenger sliding door, you're going to find these devices here. So these control the hot water and heating system, and this just here is our habitation control panel. So let's take a look at this first. So when the van is hooked up, you will see a little orange light which will come on here. Now the van isn't currently hooked up, so there is no light on here, but when you are, this will light up orange to let you know that you've got a power source coming into the van. So to turn the habitation system on, we're going to press the button here, and that turns the habitation on. And our lights have now just come on inside the van. So any lights that you have left on will come on automatically when you switch the hab panel system on board. So this is handy if you're coming to the vehicle at night time. Not a bad thing to do. Leave one or two lights on. So when you reach out and turn the hab panel on, the lights will then switch on themselves. So we have three controls just down the side here, and these allow us to view different levels inside of the van. So the first one here is the van's battery status. This is the leisure battery. So we hold the button down and then we can see our battery status is nice and healthy in the green just there. As the van charges, this here will light right to the very top to let you know there is power coming into the van. Next one is our freshwater levels, that are currently at 25%. And then the bottom one here is our wastewater, which is showing some water in the waste tank as well. Easy way to remember this, okay, is think of water coming into the van and then water coming out of the van. And then you can see here, water coming in, water going out. And that's the easy way to remember that for the habitation panel. So moving across, let's have a look at your boiler and heater system controls. So these are split into two different controllers. Now they look complicated at first, but they are actually quite easy to understand. So the one on the left is how the boiler is operating. Is it working on electric or is it working on gas? So this is what this is relating to. So there is a little, you can see it just there, that little bit just there, that is the indicator. So this then tells the system what to work on. So this here is gas, working on the gas primary for the heating system. This one here is electric 1, 900 watt. This here is electric 2, which is 1800 watt. And then down here we have a hybrid mode. So we have gas and electric 1, gas and electric 2. Now the hybrid mode allows the boiler to be efficient. So it is, when you plug it in, you can use a combination of gas and electric to superheat the boiler, get things moving quickly. So all we do here is we rotate this to pick the energy mode. So this here is electric 1, electric 2, gas only, gas and electric 1, gas and electric 2. So in this example, we're off grid because, as I said, remember, we don't have a light here, so we're not hooked up. We're going to pick gas as our energy source. There we go. Now, moving across, we now have the Turbo Combi. So this here allows us to decide what we're doing with the boiler. So again, there's another little control next just here, you can see there. So this is currently in the off position at 0. So if we wanted to heat hot water only in the van, then we go there, 40 degrees for hot water. And there we go there for 60 degrees for hot water. Now remember, the energy mode is being picked over here. So this is telling to heat the water using the gas system, and that is that there. If we wanted just to heat the van with no hot water, we pick this one. And then we then use this controller here to decide how hot we want the van to be. 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. Now on average, 4 is about 25 degrees. But have a play with this when you're using your van to decide your favorite temperature setting. Now we can also use hot water and heat at the same time, which is this mode. So this now tells the van to provide hot water and heat as well. So let's just review that. So the 0 position is off, 40 here is for hot water only, and 60 is for hot water only. I want just heat only, and I want heat and hot water. Now don't forget, that this is dictated by the energy mode you pick over here. Now, when the van is heating, this side here will light in orange to let you know it's heating. If you get a red light here, it lets you know that something is wrong. So, for example, if I tell the van that I'm on electric 2 and then I try to do the hot water, then I may get an indicator flash over here to tell me that something is wrong, i.e. there is no electric coming into the van. Okay, to turn everything off, you just put them into 0, and that then turns the whole system off. It doesn't matter where this selector is sitting, as long as this one here is at 0. And that there covers our habitation control system and our heating and hot water systems. Let's take a look at your cooking station inside your Globecar. So your gas rings here, they are hiding under this protective cover, which you just need to lift up. Now, before using the gas, you need to make sure that you've turned the bottle on and that you have also turned the isolator taps on as well. We'll cover those in another part of this video. So to turn the rings on, you will need an ignition source, be it a lighter like this or some matches. So definitely have something handy to be able to light the gas system. So we push the knob in, turn the knob, hear the gas come through, and let me ignite that. There we go. So that's the first one. Give that a second to warm up and then we can let go of the switch. And let's do the second one. And there we go. That's our second one just there. So when the gas rings are running, you can adjust the flow of the gas by rotating the dial to increase or decrease the gas flow. And then once you are finished with the gas, just rotate it around to their off position with the little circles as indicated, and that will then turn the gas off. Not a bad idea to sometimes have a quick listen. There's no gas coming through, you can't hear the gas coming through, so we know the rings are definitely switched off. So when we are finished cooking with the gas rings, it is important to note that you don't close the lid straight down. You'll want to let this cool for a few minutes, give it 5 or 10 minutes, and then you can safely close the glass down. Likewise, don't close the glass when the flames are lit. You run the risk of damaging or potentially shattering the glass as well. When you are cooking in the van, it is important to note that you must have some form of ventilation going on inside the vehicle. So don't run the gas systems with the vehicle completely closed. So have either the windows in vent mode, which you can do like so. So basically flip the switches forward here, and then you can move these into the little channel like that, and that puts any one of the windows into ventilation mode. You can get your fingers down the side there. That allows a flow of air and allows any excess gas to escape. So very important that you cook with either the window fully open or with some form of ventilation going on. Never cook when the van is completely shut. Moving on to the kitchen sink inside your Globecar. So to use our kitchen sink, we do need to make sure a couple of conditions are met, that we have fresh water in the tank. If you wanted hot water, that you have the boiler on heat mode to heat the water, and that you have also turned the habitation control on to allow power for the water pump. So once these conditions are met, you can make full use of the sink. Now I've already taken the chopper board cover out of the way so you can see this demonstration. And then on top of the tap, or the faucet control if you like, you have cold to this side and then hot water to this side. And then to use the control, just lift the faucet control up and water will come through the tap like so. And we just adjust it across to hot water, and we can move this up and down to increase or decrease the flow as well. Now, for emptying the van, what you need to do is, so for winterization, you want to drain the tanks out and drain any fresh water in the taps. Move the tap to the middle position and lift that up, and that will then clear the taps of any excess water. Likewise, when you're re-seasoning the van after winter use and you want to reprime the boiler system, best position to put this tap is in the middle, and then lift this up. You may hear the tap gurgle a couple of times, as it were, and after a few minutes you should then get water come through. The easiest position to do that is in the middle. Now don't forget, when you are traveling, obviously make sure you turn the tap off so you haven't got water constantly running. And I also recommend that once the water's drained from the sink, before moving around, is put the plug back in the middle there. It just stops any smells coming up through from your waste tank. And we'll cover the waste tank emptying in another part of this video. But for now, that covers our kitchen sink. Let's move on into the bathroom in your Globecar 600. So I've already gone ahead and folded the sink down for this demonstration. So inside your bathroom, you have your vanity sink, and then you have the shower stroke tap unit for the vanity unit. And this works exactly like the kitchen tap, that you turn the pump on, okay, then you've got a control switches there, which if you slide forward will lock it, so you can just use it as a tap, and then we adjust this flow just here to allow us to change the hot water to cold water in our shower unit, like so. And then the water here then drains down the back here and then goes into our fresh tank. Into our waste tank. Now the shower can be pulled out of here and then go onto a strap just up there. So let me do that for you just now. Let me make sure that's locked off. That comes out and then that locks up into here, and that's it in position for you. Okay, and as I said, don't forget when using the shower just to use the lock on the top of the shower head so it means you don't have to hold the trigger down, then the water will come through. And it's just a case of retracting the hose back in there once you're done. Now to tip the sink back out the way, let me just quickly move this so we can see this in action. It's just this little trigger here, pull that and then fold the sink up. I don't know if I can do this one-handed, let me do it too. So that will then fold up out the way for you, as it were. Okay, and that there covers the vanity and the shower unit. Moving on, so let's have a look at the toilet system fitted to your Globecar 600. So this is the Thetford toilet unit, and this basin just here does rotate round, so you can maneuver this around to a better angle to make things more comfortable for yourself. Hiding down to the side here, there is a little control flap, or a service hatch flap if you like. There's lots of different names for it. In this video we'll call it a service hatch, and that is this just in here. So if I keep the video camera there, if I move the flap, you'll see that open up. So that means that the toilet is now ready for you. So you can see here the flap is now across to the side. So once we've made use of the toilet, you do obviously have high-low rings. We are then ready to flush the toilet. Now normally I would advise you flush the toilet with the lid down just to avoid any splashback, but for the purpose of this demonstration we'll do it with the lid up just for now. So the button on the side here, the little blue button, will action the flush, and you can see the flush circling around just there just now, as it were. I normally recommend maybe about 3 seconds, but obviously you hold down for as much as you want to. Once you are done, don't forget to close the service hatch flap off, and that will then stop any unpleasant smells backwashing from the toilet unit itself, as it were. Once you're done, obviously close the lid down. We'll cover the cassette aspect of the toilet in another part of this video. Now, hiding just down here, you can see this little green indicator. This indicator here lets us know the state of the toilet cassette unit itself. So at the moment, the toilet cassette is empty, so it is fully green. When that goes red, that's letting you know that you need to look at emptying the toilet cassette. And that there covers the Thetford toilet in your Globecar 600. Located just off the steps for the access to the rear bed, you are going to find these, which are your gas isolation valves for your van. So these allow you to isolate the gas systems for the cooker and for the hot water boiler for the van. The one in the middle is just a dummy and is not used on this van, but I just recommend getting in the habit of turning it with the others to match. Now at the moment, the taps are in the open position, which allows gas to flow through to the various different devices in the van. For traveling purposes, I normally recommend switching these off just for gas safety. And it's a simple case of just turning these 90 degrees, like so, and that isolates the gas systems. There's a little sticker just down here just to remind you in case you're not too sure. And as I said, when you arrive on site, it's just a case ready to turn gas on. We turn our bottle on, which I'll show you in another part of the video, and that turns our gas systems back on again like so. And that there is the gas isolation taps. At the back of your van, on the passenger side, underneath the bed itself, you're going to find this access panel just here. So this access panel, when you take it off, gives us access to the boiler system, but more importantly it also gives us access to the distribution board, which is this just down here. So on the distribution board is the test switches and trip switches for the power system inside your van itself. Now this is really important because this allows you to run an electrical test on the van when you are electrically hooked up with a power cable, just to make sure that the breaker points are working inside the van. Just press the little blue button on the test switch just here, and that will action the trip. Now if you want to power certain systems off, it's just like a fuse box board at home. You just push the power switches down and that will then turn those circuits off. And that there is our distribution board in our Globecar. If you wanted to remove this center section from your Globecar to allow you to basically have access through for larger objects from the garage of your Globecar through to the front, you can do this. What you need to do is lift these step panels up, and inside you'll notice these little black screw devices. So there's one just here, and there's one on the other side there, and on the lower step there's two more located just on the floor. Undo these and you'll be able to physically remove this unit out of the way to allow you to have that additional load space through your Globecar. Down along the passenger side of your Globecar, you are going to find your electrical hookup point, which is under this flap just here. So it's a simple case of taking your electric hookup cable, opening the cover up, and then just plugging this in. So this just slides on and in nice and firmly like so. And once you've got the cable in, you can then put on your power source. Now, top tip here is to always plug in the van first, and that way there you're not traveling with a live cable. And once you've got the van plugged in at the other end, you then turn on the switch there. I'd always recommend just checking the breaker circuit of the power source for your car, just to make sure that is working fine. And you can also run a trip check on the interior of the van as shown in the earlier part of this video. When you are disconnecting the van, just repeat the process, reverse the process, sorry. So disconnect the cable from the energy source, and then finally disconnect the cable from the van, and then make sure that this is pushed firmly in like so, and that way that stops this from flapping when you're driving along. And that there is the electric hookup for your Globecar. Down on the passenger side of your Globecar, you're going to find this access hatch, and this access hatch here is for the cassette toilet of your Globecar. So first things first, you will need to unlock the hatch with your keys and then press the buttons to open the hatch up like so. Okay, inside you're going to find your toilet cassette unit. There's a blue flap which you need to lift and squeeze to be able to retract the unit out. So this one just here. So with the unit now out of the vehicle, you have wheels, and there is a little trolley handle that you can lift up here to extend to make traveling a little bit easier. So when you're ready to empty, just rotate this, undo the cap. Now the cap itself actually has little measuring marks on board, so when you want to add chemicals in, you can use this as a measuring cap. And then when you're ready to empty the unit, it's a case of then tipping this into your disposal point, press the blue button to release pressure, and then empty the cassette unit like so. Wash the unit out at least twice by filling about halfway, giving it a good slosh, and then emptying it out just to make sure you clean any trapped wadded paper or any debris out of your unit. Then what I recommend is that you put about a litre of water in, litre to a litre and a half, add your chosen chemical in, be it a chemical or pod. Don't forget that most campsites won't accept blue chemical anymore, so you'd need to look at the septic friendly fluids like green, and then push this down and then reinsert the cartridge back into the unit. Wheels first, push it back in until it clicks. There we go, and that's it then secure. It's not a bad habit just to give it a little tug, just make sure it has secured properly into place. Do bear in mind that if you are trying to retract your cassette unit out of here, that the service hatch for the toilet needs to be fully closed. When the service hatch is open, it actually opens the toilet cassette and locks the two together. So if you are struggling to get this out to start with, pop inside and just make sure that service hatch has been closed. So once you're all sorted out just there, it's a case of close the flap back down again. And don't forget, most importantly, to lock the service hatch off. Number one theft on a campsite is chemical toilets. They're very easy to take out and steal, and they are unfortunately expensive to replace. So do make sure that you have locked yours securely away. Just a quick point of note on the passenger side of the vehicle for your boiler. You may notice this little device just here, which is on the flank of your van. Now this here is actually the boiler exhaust point. So on a very cold day where the boiler's working, you may see some vent coming from that. And this will be hot as well. So just beware if you're around the outside of the van not to touch this when this is in operation. But that there is the exhaust point for your boiler. Let's take a quick look at the fuel and tire pressure system for your Globecar. So underneath this access hatch here is the fueling point, and it's a simple case of put the key in, turn the key out, and then retract the cap, and the cap will hang just down here on this little hook while you're working away. And once you're done, it's a case, pop back in, turn the key and lock it all back off, and then close the service hatch back up again like so. Tyre pressures, they are located on this sticker just inside the slab. So this will give you the tyre sizes as recommended by the manufacturer and the recommended tyre pressures here in bar as well as in good old-fashioned PSI. Now, I strongly recommend that you follow this to the letter. These tyre pressures are designed to work when the van is at maximum load. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that when tyres are warm, they will increase their pressures by up to 20%. So it's not recommended to overfill the tyres at the start when they're cold. You want to make sure that you follow the manufacturer guidelines as listed here on your tyre pressure sticker. So bonnet access is located to the side just here with this little lever just there. You just give this a wee pull and that will then open the bonnet itself. So let's take a look underneath the bonnet. So under the bonnet, let's start from the driver's side. So hiding just under here is the screen wash located just here. You then have coolant, brake wire reservoir. You then have your oil fill reservoir with a dipstick located just down here with the orange handle. And then further along, we then have our jump-on points for the battery, which is the negative terminal here. And then hiding under the flap just down here is the positive terminal. And that there covers under the bonnet. To fill water into your Globecar, you will need to get your habitation key and open this flap here located on the rear and the driver's side. Just pop the key in, turn, and then rotate and remove the flap itself like so. And it's a simple case of inserting your hose into here and then running fresh water into the tank. Now bear in mind, do make sure that you have closed the drain valve for the fresh tank, else the water is just going to pour straight out to the floor just down here and you won't get anywhere fast. Now there is no specific overflow for this, so when the water starts back washing out, then you know the tank is full. Don't forget, you can monitor the status of the freshwater fill by checking the habitation panel as seen in an earlier part of this video. So once you're done, put the flap in, turn until it locks into place, turn the key to lock the panel in, and that there is the water system now fully secure. The freshwater tank is located in the rear of your Globecar in the garage on the driver's side, and it can be accessed by underneath the bed. So all you need to do is open this flap just here, and then you'll see on the flap you have the wee instructions about draining the tanks off. Now your tank has a travel mode, so if you only turn the tank quarter way, it will keep 20 litres of water on board. That is ideal if you're travelling in a van and not too sure if you plan to park on a campsite or maybe park off grid, and you want to at least have some water on board to make use of dishes, the shower, flushing the toilet. And this is a great way to save fuel on longer trips. If you are knowing that you're going to go to a campsite, then you might want to just travel less water or empty the tank out, but this is a great way to have water on board and not cost you too much. So to drain the tank, the tap valve is located just here, and it's a case of turning the tap, 1 and 2, and then water will drain out of the bottom of the van like so. For winterization, I strongly recommend that you empty the van out to clear all the water out of the systems. And then when it comes to reseasoning the van, it's a case of close the tap to close the boiler off and then allow water to flow out. And then once you're all done, you can then put the flap back on, and that there is your freshwater system drained. Hiding in the back corner of the garage of your Globecar, you're going to see this access hatch just here, and this allows us into the bottom part of the boiler, and more importantly into the thermostatically controlled drain switch for the boiler, which is this device here. Now the switch for the drain is located on top and is the blue diamond shape, which you can see just here highlighted by the torch. Now to discover if this is tripped or not, all you need to do is check on the top to see if a little grey pin has popped out of your boiler drain. So I will rotate this for you just now so you can see it. So there is the little pin that's just popped out like so, and you'll notice that the little blue plug down the bottom here has also popped out as well. So this has now allowed the boiler to drain water. This does form part of your winterization for your van, so this would be the procedure you follow to drain the van. Now, if the weather's gone particularly cold, there's a good chance that this has popped by itself. So you may notice that when you're trying to put hot water into the system, that the boiler isn't working correctly. So to check this and to sort it out, all you need to do is just reach in, feel for the top to see if the pin is fired. In this case, the pin has fired, so of course we could have done it just now. All we do is rotate this 90 degrees. That will retract the pin back into position, and then we prime the switch by pushing the blue button at the bottom, and that is now fully reset. Located under the front passenger seat, you're going to see this panel here. So we're going to lift the panel out of the way. You are going to find your fuse board, which you can see just here. Now, I do recommend that when you travel that you do carry some spare fuses with you. So if you're out in the field and something has gone wrong, maybe a fuse has popped, then you do have spares to replace them, as it were. Do use your owner's manual to give you an indication of which fuse does what, and that you put the appropriate fuse in to match the manufacturer specification. So that was the handover video for the Globecar Globestar 600L. I hope you guys find it useful. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, I do recommend that you maybe download the video, bookmark it to your device. So when you're out and about, you have it as a great handy reference, just in case you need a little bit of help to get yourself going inside your van. All that is left for me to say is that I wish you many happy miles motoring and adventuring in your new camper van. And don't forget, myself and the rest of the team here at Highland Camper Vans are here to help you out. We love to hear about any stories that you have, or indeed if you need us for any assistance or any top tips, please do get in touch. All that's left for me to say is goodbye for now.